I mean, yeah, wow. It's all I can really say. I said to myself at half time, I'm not gonna do a post match feelings after this game because I thought it was unfair. I thought that the balance of young players. I mean, when the team came in at the beginning, the first thing I thought was, this is crazy. Like, not so much the lineup on the pitch, but more that there was no substitutions that we could have brought on. And so I said to myself at half time, look, I'm not going to do the post match after the game. I'll think about it. I'll digest it. I'll break it down. I'll go back through it and do something tomorrow. But I pretty much had the second half really to do that, because I mean, it was just damage control, really, wasn't it, from Liverpool? It was just, let's just not lose 10-0, which I appreciate, because I know Arne Slot has had this tendency since he came in, really, to just sort of go for it and put loads of attackers on and win. The problem, of course, is that he couldn't really do that because there was nobody to bring on. Mo Salah was sat eating pineapple or something while that was all going on. He was pictured in the crowd. That's the thing. The whole team was there. I don't really understand it. I don't know if it was. It's not an energy thing. It's not like they've played really, really well and they deserve a break. The only thing I can think is it's some sort of twisted psychology to like make the players see what it's like to watch as a fan and lose and have no control. But I don't really see how that installs any sort of good feeling in the team. And that's what is really concerning to me, is I don't really know what the direction is right now. And that's why I didn't really want to do a video right after it, because it can be quite negative sometimes and you can say things that are rash and stuff. But as I said, I've had time to think about it over the last sort of half an hour. And yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm not slot out. And I said that literally in a video that I recorded earlier on, which went up earlier on, where I said, if you're somebody who's like, Slot is the problem and he needs to leave and all this and that, then just, this isn't the video for you. And I'm still not. I don't believe that firing a manager is a good thing to do in the middle of a season, especially when they've just won a Premier League. Whether you're a fan of him or not, he won the league last year, and that gives him credit in the bank. You know, when Klopp had, I'm not comparing or anything here, but I'm just saying, when Klopp had a difficult season, he said at the time, I know that I'm only awarded this amount of time to sort things out because of what I've done before. And although that's not really comparable here, I'm still saying that it does count for something. So, yeah, I don't think that sacking a manager is worthwhile this season. If we get to the end of the season and nothing's changed and it's still a mess in the same vein that it is now and there's no improvement, then of course you'd be stupid to say that you need to carry on because he won the league in his first year. It gets you a certain amount, but it doesn't get you forever. Especially when, you know, we've spent the amount of money that we've spent. The owners will be looking to win something this year, and that's why this deeply upsets me, because, you know, it may be the Mickey Mouse Cup and it's the Carabao Cup, doesn't matter. It matters when you win it. It doesn't matter to anybody else. But we do have a very good history with the Carabao Cup, and I'm actually, I think, generally more excited for the Carabao Cup than I am for the FA Cup, because you get to see young talent coming in and stuff, and that's great, but not in the vein that it was tonight. And this is what I want this point of this video to be about. Not about the team and the performances, because that was not our Liverpool team out there tonight. That's not our main team. That we can't attribute the losses that we've had over the last few weeks to this team that played tonight, because it was a completely different team. This team that played tonight don't play in the main team. And this is what upsets me about tonight, and this is why I'm a bit conflicted with Arne Slot's decision to play this team that he did tonight and to still continue to bring young players on when we was 2-0 down. They're young. Some of them are my age. I'm 21, and this is why I look at it in the way that I do. Some of them are a little bit older than me, some of them are my age, and a lot of them are younger than me. And if I think back to when I was 17, 18, 19, whatever, I'm not a footballer, but in my profession, if I had been thrown in the deep end in the way that they was tonight, I think that would have deeply set me back. And that's what I'm worried about. And I heard the commentator say at the end of the game, I hope that these players or whatever, that the team's going to rally around them. And I thought to myself, well, that's a ludicrous thing to say. I hope the manager and the team rallies around them. The manager and the team and the club and the institution that put them in this position in the first place. Yes, they could have gone out and performed the miracle and won, but it would have been just that, wouldn't it? We've lost to Crystal Palace how many times this season? With our main team. They benched basically their main team tonight, as if anyone expected a bunch of teenagers to go out and win. Or especially Arne Slot. He didn't. And that's the harsh reality, and that's what I had to remind myself when I was having this conversation in my head at the end of this game, is that he didn't believe that they would win it. He threw this away at the expense of a bunch of really young players who are young, shapeable, fragile, and are probably going to be feeling very, 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 very unhappy and vulnerable tonight. And they'll feel like it's their fault that they didn't win it, and I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, that fact there. That's the thing that upsets me. You can lose a game of football, no problem, right? We've lost games over the last few weeks. I'm not like, oh, this is the end of the world, sack the manager. Like, losses come. We've had a lot of change, and I've done a video earlier. I recorded another video which is going to go out at some point as well, which I feel like redoing now. But I said in that, the losses they come with the game. I think it's a testament to how we've played over the last 10 years and the quality, the level that we have sustained that shows up when we lose. But not every loss is equal. And a lot of those players that have been losing those games recently understand what they're going into when they are signing these contracts as football players. Doesn't make it any easier, I get that, right? But they understand, at least they're of an age where they're understanding. Some of them, there's a few question marks about whether they are truly mature enough to carry themselves out of this loss at the moment, but I'm not getting into that. The point is, they're all, professional footballers that have played in clubs before where the stakes are high. These are kids, literal kids that have played tonight that will now be carrying, they feel, in a time when the club is not in a great place with the fans and how they're feeling, not particularly positive. And the Carabao Cup could have been a great way for us to win a bit of win a bit of silverware this year, maybe, and be a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. If all else fails, at least we won that. The Mickey Mouse Cup being a bit of a joke, but it still means something. It's great. And they will now be feeling like they took that from us, and they didn't. And I will make that very clear. They all played their hearts out tonight. I thought I can't even single out players because I thought they all played incredible. Even the poor sod that got sent off. Like, that was so unlucky. He went in with his heart and got too rash. He come on a point in a game where tensions were high, and in that moment, that was worth doing for him because the other option was 3-0. And I thought they all played super, even the senior players that were on. And also to put the burden on those. I heard Arne Slot say before the game that he expects them to play, I don't know, to step up. Like there's some kind of Gandhi that's going to lead these kids to, I don't know. It seems really wild to me that we expect players that have been playing and not necessarily have been winning games to somehow carry a bunch of kids that play in an under-21s and an under-18s to be a Premier League first team. That is just ludicrous to me, when our own first team couldn't beat that first team. I don't know why. And I haven't watched Arne Slot's post-match interview. They flicked over on the TV like literally after our game, and I've not seen anything, so I don't know what he said. But it seems to me that Arne Slot has a little bit of a responsibility issue right now. And he needs to take responsibility. The first thing I said was I saw fans leaving, and that's never good to see. It hasn't happened in quite a while for us. And the first thing I thought back to, weirdly enough, was how Klopp used to go around and do the pumps when we won. And that time when he first come in, and we had a culture in the club where fans were leaving, and he stopped that by when we drew a game. We didn't even win. We drew a game, and this drew so much criticism from the public as well. When we drew the game, he went and did a big thank you to the fans for staying till the end. And the first thing I thought was, at the end of this game, the first thing Arne Slot needs to do is go and do a lap of Anfield, because this is a home game. Go and do a lap of Anfield and thank all of the fans that stayed till the end, because not all of them did. A good majority of them didn't. And I mean, he did a little kind of clap, which is okay, fine. But yeah, I think he needs to take some accountability here. I need to know why he picked this team and why he seemingly didn't care about all the fans that travelled there tonight, because that's the other upsetting thing, is all the fans that travel there. You don't expect to see your first team and all your stars play in a Carabao Cup, but when it's a Premier League versus Premier League side, you do expect there to be some, level of first teamers in there, and especially on the bench. If we'd started that team tonight as we did, but on the bench was Isak, Ekatike, I don't know if Isak was fit, but Ekatike at maximum, Konate maybe, or Van Dijk, one or the other. Some players that you can bring on. Dominic Szoboszlai, I feel like that would have been a really good game for him today, because it was super open at times. There was loads of room to run in. Wirtz could have had a real good confidence-boosting game. And even Marmondashvili, I don't understand why he didn't play. I mean, I thought Freddie Woodman played really, really, really well, but what did we need to drop Marmondashvili off the 4 games for? It surely is a no-brainer to keep him playing for consistency. But anyway, I digress. As I said, I don't want this to be a tactical breakdown or anything about the performance. This, to me, is about the young players and their mentality. And at a time when our club is struggling so hard for mentality, it seems, I don't see how this result and this team that we put out has benefited anybody. For all of the young players that are now going to feel responsible and are going to be probably in a very dark place tonight, seeing things on social media, and I hope to fucking God nobody's on social media slandering any of them players, because Jesus Christ, I haven't seen any, but I'm just saying. But then also for the first teamers that were all sat there watching the game, the whole game, how is it any morale booster for them to sit and watch their team fail and get knocked out of a competition and not be able to change anything? I don't know. I could go on all night about this, but this is my takeaway. My TLDR, if you like. I'm not Arne Slot out, but this is probably the biggest question mark I've had about a decision he's made, and not a decision in any way that he's played. I thought the formation change was great. I thought the tactics up till about 40 minutes in were great. But why on earth put all of that pressure on a bunch of kids and a couple of senior players? I don't know. I guess he doesn't want to affect the morale of the main team anymore. But is that an expense that's worth making? The expense of a bunch of 17-year-olds? If it was me, no. Honestly, but then maybe I just stand differently to him. And again, I don't see how it hasn't affected the first team, because they watched it happen. So I think, if I'm honest, everybody lost tonight. I thought the first team lost big time, because this was a great opportunity again, great competition. I thought all those poor youngsters lost out. I feel like all the fans, not just us at home, that in fact second. Us at home are second. We pay what, 30 quid a month to watch it on the TV. There was fans that probably this is the only ticket they could get, and they go, and they may be, on the breadline and not have much money, and they've wanted to go and watch their team play, and then they sit down and they find out that the first team hasn't bothered to show up, which obviously they did, but that's how it feels at the time. Okay, so we're not worth it then, are we? So that's another thing. They've lost out there. And I feel like Arne Slot has lost out big time, because if I'm feeling this way as somebody who's just watched it on the TV at home, I can only imagine how some of the fans in the stadium were feeling tonight. I'd imagine super hung out to dry. And yeah, there's no such thing as an unimportant game of football. We know this. It doesn't exist. It's not a friendly. This is a competition. Call it a Mickey Mouse Cup or whatever. It's not about being in the competition. It's about giving your all. And every player that went out there today gave it their all. But to not play our normal players that we would play, even some of them, I think is disrespectful to the competition as a whole and massively out of touch, especially for Liverpool. So, yeah, it didn't feel to me like that was a decision tonight that aligned with Liverpool. And I really sincerely hope Arne Slot understands why that will not go down well with people. Because if he doesn't, it's a slippery slope from here. So I think now is a time for some serious self-reflection. As I said, I don't think that we should be sacking a manager. I think he needs the season, right? But now is a very, very important time to reflect, because nobody's expecting things to just magically work like that. I can deal with things not clicking properly and needing work and being closer and not quite getting there. And as I said, I can't really fault the tactics tonight. I thought that the shuffled formation, everything was better. But what I can fault was the decision making and the rationale behind it all. And that, to me, the morals, they did not lie where I feel that Liverpool has been in my life, at least, of watching Liverpool. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know yours down below. And I'd love to hear from anybody that did go to the game as well. If anybody did go and watch the game in the stadium, it felt a bit flat to me on the TV. It didn't feel like a very positive atmosphere, and I understand why. I mean, as I said, if I'd paid to go and then I found out that none of the main team were even going to play, I think I would be pretty pissed off as well. So I'd love to know what it was like. And yeah. Maybe I'll do a proper analysis on this, but I doubt it. I don't think I'm going to waste any time on this match because, as I said, I can't put any fault, any blame on any singular player in that team because they were just dumped in the deep end. So yeah, that concludes this video. I will see you in the next one.